Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to bring you a playthrough of Sylvion, designed by Shadi Torbay. So this game is another in the Oniverse series, so it's set in the same universe as Onirim, as Castellion, as Nautilion, and as Urbion if you have that one. That one's been out of print for a while. But this game is basically a card-based tower defense game where you are playing as forest creatures trying to stop a forest fire from destroying your home. And it is a good amount of fun, as you are about to see. So the game actually starts with a drafting phase. I'm gonna just do an abbreviated version of this for you so we can get straight to gameplay. But basically, before you begin the game, you get to choose your army. And so to do that, there's actually a system where you go through the cards that are potentially available and you draft them. Because not all the animals are gonna be ready to fight this difficult battle. So, just so you know, for drafting in Sylvion, you lay out 4 cards. I'm going to grab this one, the doves. They allow you to do some serious card elimination, as you're going to see. Then you lay out another 4 cards. Ooh, those are a good fountain. Oh no, okay. And then you pull off of this deck to figure out who's going to desert you. So in this case, column 1 is going to be leaving us, so this tree will not be part of the game. It goes in the discard. Then you lay out another 4 cards. And you pick a column. So for example, if that's a nice fountain, but I know that I'd really like to have, let's go with the owl, the hedgehogs, and the fountain. The owl allows card draw. The hedgehog allows you to cancel cards you don't like, and the fountain is defensive. So I'm going to take those, and then we'll lay out another set of cards. So just so you know also, when one of these columns hits 4, you don't add any more cards to it in future rounds. You can't draft more than 4 cards at once. But then we'll pull this card off the top. Oh no, oh that was a bad loss here. So that column is gone. And we'll do the process again. So that's how you draft. And once I'm done drafting, we will head to gameplay setup, and I'll show you how this is played. All right, so here's our setup for Sylvion. As you can see, this one's a bit of a table hog, but these are just trees that represent the life of the forest, so they're just going to be off screen a little bit. All the main action is happening in here. So as you can see, the cards, the fire elemental cards, are going to march this way towards the tree line, and if they hit the tree line, then they do damage. And it's my job to prevent that from happening. So the first thing I get to do is draw a starting hand of 8 cards. So let's see what we get. All right, we get a whale. What the whale does is it allows you to move fire elemental cards 3 spaces in any direction on the board. So you can, for example, manipulate them into a fountain that you've set up, or just keep them away from you for a second longer. We have a stag. He's not going to be the most useful right now, but he helps with tree planting and with like health recovery. So if I get hit over here, I can immediately use him to recover 2. Fish. They're not the best card in the game, but they allow you to spend 1 card to have 3 more spending power. So the way that that works is that when you want to use a card, you have to pay cards from your hand equivalent to the cost in the top right corner of the card you want to play. So if I wanted to play the fish, I would have to spend 1 more card to the discard pile in order to play. So this allows you to spend 1 card for the spending power of 3 cards for a net gain of 2. So some people appreciate that, some don't. Our 4th card is a fountain. We're going to want to get that down over here somewhere so that we can stop some fire. Ooh, another fountain. And that's a really good one. So we want to get that one planted somewhere along here as quickly as possible. Oh, another really good fountain. Okay. Hopefully we get to get some of those down. Baby fountain. I went pretty fountain heavy this draft. And then an elephant. So what the elephant does is it allows you to spend a card to put out any fire. So that's my starting hand, and it's really not a bad starting hand at all. But we don't get to go first because we have to see some fires before we can decide what to do about them. So our very first step is to reveal the Ravage cards. So there's 16 cards in each of these stacks. Oh dear. And we have to get through all of them. So for this first one, we've just got a bunch of fire. And oh no, we have a Demobilization card. So we're going to explain what all these are. So this is a level 3 fire elemental. So he's pretty powerful. This is a 0. They might seem puny, except that if we get a blaze card, which makes all the fires more intense, it actually can turn into a level 4 fire, which is terrible. A 1, which isn't great, but it could be worse. And a Demobilization card. And what that's going to mean is that it makes you take either one card from your discard pile that you don't see, you can discard 1, or you can choose 2, and they're completely removed from the game. So basically animals get hurt, and then they have to leave the field of battle permanently. So you resolve these basically in alphabetical order. The good news is that this card with a B on it, like I don't have a discard pile, so he's just gonna go away without doing anything to me this time. So that's a relief. And then all of these flames are going to move 1 space to the left. So they're gonna come a little closer to me. So now it's my turn to do something about them. So I have my starting hand, but now we're having the reinforcements phase, so it means I get to draw 3 more cards. So like a little fountain, an elephant, excellent, and a little tree. So now I need to figure out, what do I want to do with these cards that will let me get rid of these flames? So let's figure that out. All right, so I did a little thinking, and I think what I want to do is this. I definitely want to play an elephant in order to eliminate at least one of these. So I want to play an elephant to get rid of this 3. Let's do that. So to get rid of the elephant, I also have to pay 1 more card. So this is going to go into the discard because I don't need this die right now, and the elephant will go in the discard. But they take out this fire elemental, so that's great for me. So he goes away, and these 2 go in my discard pile. All right, so now let's see what to do next. I want to put down some fountains. I also, however, want to make sure that this 0 doesn't grow into something more awful. I think I'm going to take a calculated risk. I want to put a fountain here, and I want to put a fountain here. And that means I need to pay 3 cards for each of those fountains. So we're going to pay 3 to the discard for the first fountain. And then we're going to definitely pay these 2. And then the question is, do I want to spin the whale, which lets me move things around, or the elephant, which lets me blast any one thing I don't want? So I'm going to just keep this elephant for next turn and hope that I don't get forced to discard him. We'll see what happens. So that was my turn. And now it's time for the fire elementals to reveal and move again. So the order of play is pretty simple. It's just figuring out what to do with your cards. That really matters. All right, so let's do another reveal. 1, uh-oh. 2, uh-oh. 3, and 4. So we have a bunch of smaller fires coming our way. The thing that's the most irritating, however, is this is called a Simoon card. And what it does is it causes every other elemental to move an extra space to the left. So in order to resolve this, everybody moves 1 over. So fortunately, this one hits a fountain and goes into discard. This one hits a fountain, and because this fountain's defense value is 4 and it's a level 1 fire, this gets discarded. This one will move over 1, and this flame will move over 1. Let's get a little lower. So we basically have, we've survived the turn. We just have to figure out what to do about all of these fires. So let's draw 3 cards and see what we want to do. Okay, so we got some nice options here. The question is, do I want to spend everything in order to, I would have no cards in my hand, but I have a plan. Okay, so let's see. This is gonna run into a fountain if I'm lucky, But the problem is if we have a blaze card next round, it's going to turn into a level 4 and kill my fountain. So I have to decide if that's something that I can risk. I'd also like to get another fountain up, maybe next to this card, because this is defense 3, and then it'll just run into it next turn, unless it turns into a blaze, I guess. And this one, this fountain could hold it no matter what. So I need to think about, you know, do I want to use an elephant to put something out? Do I want to put the fountain down? Do I want to do both and have nothing in my hand for next turn? Or what? So let's think about that for a second. All right, here's what I think I'm going to do. Even if we have a blaze and this card cancels the other one, hopefully it'll come back around. I just want to have like a good defense that no one ends up hitting the tree line. So I'm going to totally spend out. I'm going to spend this one card to use the elephant, and I'm going to use the elephant to take out... Ooh, I can only do one thing. Hang on. Let's think. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang on to this elephant for next turn, because that could be pretty handy. I'm going to go ahead and spend these 2 cards to put this fountain here to block off potential advancing flames. So these guys go in the discard. This elephant stays in my hand. Hopefully I don't get a card that forces me to discard him, which we're eventually going to see. Okay, so let's reveal. Oh no, it is a blaze card. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to increase the power of all of the fire elementals coming this way. And I'm going to show you how it works after the full reveal. Oh my god, okay, it's another blaze card. Another blaze card. I've never seen that happen before. Okay. Man, a demobilization card. So what that means is I'm going to lose someone from my army this turn. Okay, so the good news about the blazes is it's actually kind of awesome that 3 of them happened at the same time, because the first one is going to activate and it's going to turn each of these elementals into like a blazing elemental. So this 2 is going to become a 3. We'll just put this over here. This 0, sadly, is about to become a 4. So that's very powerful and bad, but we will hopefully, well, we're going to be able to deal with it. It stinks, but we'll deal with it. This 1 is going to become a 2. So that happened. So the way this is going to work is that now all of these are going to advance, and they're going to advance as blazing elementals. But once elementals are blazing, you can't increase their power again. So this one worked, but these other 2 have no effect. So it's actually, I mean, if you're going to have a blaze card, it's actually pretty good if you get more than 1 at the same time, because once everything is already blazing, it can't blaze anymore. So these all go in the discard with less harm done than they could have done. And now we're going to have this squirrel. So this little squirrel with a broken leg, poor guy. So he represents demobilization. So I need to pick up my discard pile, and I have 2 choices to play this card. I can either give up 1 card blind, or 2 cards that I can see. So let's look through here and see if there's anything I want to just ditch. All right, I think I'm going to get rid of this kind of weaker tree and this wimpy fountain rather than risk giving up one of my more high power cards. So thank you, little tree and little fountain. You did such a great job for our movement. You will be missed. And this squirrel will go in the discard pile. So now all of these guys are going to move 1 to the left to finish off their turn. So this 3 is moving disturbingly close to my tree line, but I do have an elephant, so there's going to be something I can do. This 4 is going to cancel out my 4 fountain. So that stinks, but they're going to kill each other. So the fountain goes into the discard, but so does this elemental. This leaves the board. And then this one is going to move into a defensive 3 fountain. 3 is bigger than 2, so this guy just dies. The other thing that's kind of a consolation prize about losing a fountain is that I get to draw another card. Ooh, and I drew some squirrels. Hopefully I'll be able to show you how that works in the reinforcement round. So now it's our turn to fight back. We're going to draw some reinforcements. So 1, 2, and 3. Ooh, I got a lot of good fountains in this draft, by the way. It was very encouraging. So now we have to figure out what we want to do. So I have a whale, which means I could potentially move him into a fountain. That could be pretty cool. I have a fountain to get down, which would be great. I have a tree, which I can spend because I don't need to play it yet. Squirrels let me spy on this line. I can look at the top 2 cards of each of these decks and put them back in the order of my choosing, which is potentially awesome. Or I can use an elephant to just put something out. So let's think about what the smartest play would be. All right, so I've decided what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is play my whale card because he's free and he allows me to move any one elemental up to 3 spaces of my choosing. So I can move elementals like this, which we're going to do, but you can't move them diagonally. Also, I just love thematically the idea of this like friendly whale who must live in like the ocean by the forest. And so you can just ask him to help you move fire elementals around. It's kind of awesome. I definitely want to live in a forest where I can also be friends with a whale. That's fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the whale for free. I'm going to move this elemental into this fountain. So he is done. And then I have a choice. I can either try to hang on to these cards, or I can place this fountain and just see what happens. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I would like to get a fountain up close to the tree line. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to discard all these cards. I'm going to put this fountain right here, right up on the tree line, so that any fires that move this way just fall right onto the flame, right onto the fountain. And so it's easier to put it out. So like, because all the fires move, if you let them get on the board, the likelihood that they're going to blaze is higher. Whereas if you can get the fountain right here and there's no blaze in the column, then the fires die more quickly and with less of a fight. So whereas you might think that, oh, I want to like put my defenses over here, actually what you want is to move your fountains closer to the fire line rather than to the tree line, because this lets you deal with fires quicker if they're going to be weak enough to get anyway. And then it gives you more time to figure out how you want to play your animals. So my problem right now is that my hand is empty. So hopefully nothing too crappy happens this next turn. So let's have a reveal. Oh no, another demobilization? What you gonna take my guys for? A desiccation, which is actually great. I'll explain why in a second. A fire, but it's only a 2, so when it moves it should die. And then, oh no, another blaze. But the good news is that again, this is gonna upgrade to a 3, which is gonna fall into a 4 fountains. Yes, that was a perfect lucky play. We got very fortunate right there. All right, so let's resolve everything in alphabetical order. So we start with A. So this card is called a desiccation. What it does is it's similar to demobilization, except that rather than take a card from your discard out of the game, it causes you to discard 1 blind or 2 seen cards from your hand. But I don't have a hand, so that means that this desiccation card does a big load of nothing. Bye-bye. Sadly, however, we are going to lose another animal or 2 from our battle. So the question is, do I have 2 in here that I'm willing to just get rid of? Or do I want to discard 1 blind? So I never really used the fish. They just kind of get stuck in my hand in drafting. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this fish. So the fishies are gone. Sorry, little fishies. The whale was more valuable to me. And the squirrel is resolved. We're gonna blaze, so this 2 gets upgraded to a 3. But fortunately, that blaze goes away. When this 3 moves to the left, as is the next step, it gets doused in my very powerful level 4 fountain. So that actually worked out pretty nicely. So now, actually, I get to draw some reinforcements, but there's nothing to necessarily reinforce against, which is actually kind of good because I don't love this hand. So I'm just going to hang on to it, and we're going to reveal the next set of elemental cards and see what happens. All right, so let's do our big reveal. Desiccation. Okay, so what that means is I'm losing at least 1 of these cards this round. That's okay. A simoon. Okay, so that means that any blaze on the board automatically moves 1 to the left. Like it gets an extra second movement this turn. That's actually could work out pretty nice. Okay. And then a 0. So actually this simoon card worked really well in my favor because I have an okay bulwark going here. So Let's resolve this one first because it has the letter A on it. We're gonna desiccate. So what that means is I have to discard one of these cards blind or 2 seen. So I'm just gonna shuffle them up and do it blind because none of these is a big enough deal that it's gonna hurt anything. Okay, so the stag is just gonna go to my discard pile. He's still in the game, he's just discarded, so everything's okay. And then I'll keep this hand. That goes away. The Simoon is gonna get played and it's gonna cause both of these to move one to the left. So this one gets doused in that fountain. This one moves 1. And then this one's gonna move its next turn right into this fountain. Going fountain heavy is not a bad strategy in this game. So again, we've got things more or less under control at the moment, probably because all of those blaze cards appeared at the same time. It's gonna really affect the progress of the game in an interesting way. So we draw 3 cards. Ooh, hedgehogs is great, and some more trees. It's actually kind of good that I've got these fountains out because there's not a ton I can do right now with this. So we're gonna enjoy that. And then we're gonna have another elemental round.